What's going on, Warriors? It's Coach Jay. Today we're gonna dive right in, guys. We're gonna talk about where your macronutrients should be at when it comes to fat burning for type 1 diabetics. We're gonna dive into some more general concepts and ideas that are gonna be important for you to consider if you wanna burn body fat. If you don't focus on these ideas, you don't have an idea of what this is, this can leave you struggling to burn body fat and wondering why. Get rid of that. Put you in, let you guys know what you guys need. If it's your first time on the channel, guys, I help type 1 diabetics to build muscle, burn body fat, get control over their blood sugar levels. But even if you're not diabetic, but you like things like supplement reviews, food reviews, vlog style videos, motivation posts, hey, hit that subscribe button down below. We'll get this ball rolling. Let's just dive right into this one. All right, so when we talk about macronutrients are what make up your calories. Calories are the energy units we get from our food that we eat to help to give us energy throughout the day. So when you're looking to burn body fat, many times you want to be in more or less, generally speaking, a calorie deficit. Now, the thing with a calorie deficit though is a lot of times as type 1s, again, we are more susceptible to losing muscle than non-diabetics due to things like our genes get upregulated. Things like the FOXO gene, which increases how much protein and muscle tissue your body can break down. Dysregulation of insulin and other hormones can get in the way of how well we build muscle. So we really want to take this into consideration when we're talking about our macronutrients, because macronutrients at the right amounts are going to help us to preserve muscle and burn body fat. Now, a lot of type 1s have been chronically low calorie for too long. If this is you and you feel like you've hit a wall, a lot of times you're gonna have to reverse diet yourself out, which I'll talk about in another video, but you have to reverse diet yourself back out to get your calories back up to closer to maintenance. Focus on maximizing muscle growth before coming back in and going back into a deficit. You gotta get balance back to your system and focus on the muscle development side. If you really wanna lose weight effectively and be happy with what you see in the mirror, you need to prioritize building muscle as a type 1 diabetic. The next thing that's important for us to understand is, again, those macronutrients that make up your calories. You've got carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. And 1 gram of carb is gonna give you 4 calories. 1 gram of protein is gonna give you 4 calories. And 1 gram of fat is gonna give you 9 calories. Now, what's really important for us to remember is how each of these are gonna impact our body. When you think about carbohydrates for us as type 1s, think about what helps you to preserve muscle. This is where carbohydrates get broken down into glucose. That glucose can get stored in our muscles as glycogen, and that glycogen can be used during our workouts to help to get us through and keep us with good energy. Without it, it makes it harder. We're not gonna feel like we have as much strength. You're gonna start looking like you're thinning out or you're losing muscle instead of developing it. Then you're gonna get yourself to a point where you're more likely to dip into lows because you don't have that glycogen buffer of extra glucose in your cells. Then think about proteins, what helps us to build and repair. So we want protein to be on board because that's what's gonna help us, especially things like post-workout, to help us to shuttle those amino acids back into, which are the building blocks of protein and muscle tissue. Now, you also wanna think about pairing those carbohydrates with protein because now you're giving yourself insulin. Insulin helps your body to shuttle these glucose and other macronutrients to your body's cells, amino acids, helps your body to function better when it comes to creating muscle by tripping other pathways in the body, like the mTOR pathway that's responsible for helping your body to upregulate proteins and muscle repair and development. So that's where it comes in. But where you're different, non-diabetics, if they eat something like protein, are going to produce high amounts of insulin to help to shuttle those aminos to the body cells and trip those other pathways. Whereas you, as a type 1 diabetic, if you just eat protein on its own, you're not going to be releasing the same amount of insulin that a non-diabetic would release if they had that same protein. So you want to think about, especially post-workout, getting a good carbohydrate meal in, a good protein meal in to help with that insulin so you can shuttle that and restore what you've broken down during your workout. We also want to think about fats. And when we think about fats, it's important for us to understand how fats can interact in our body. Now, if you're someone who wants to burn body fat, this is important because if you're someone who's eating a high fat diet, moderate carbohydrate diet, you're going to put yourself in a position where your body requires more insulin. When your body requires more insulin overall, then your body's going to be put in a position where it's going to make it harder to burn body fat when it's time. Now you're going to be winding up frustrating, wondering what's happening. When you look at fats, fats can interfere with insulin signaling, meaning over time, your body just needs more insulin to help to get that glucose into your body's cells. because the fats can interfere with insulin signaling. And so if you're high fat overall, if you're on an insulin pump and it's automated, your body will naturally, or your pump might naturally start to just increase how much basal it's giving you on those higher fat days. If you focus on going more lower fat, you can manipulate the amount of insulin you're giving yourself, because your body will likely not have to tweak your blood sugar level by increasing the amount of insulin it gives you, because it has to override the disruption to the insulin signaling that is happening. By decreasing your fats, you can help to improve insulin sensitivity, which is also associated with increased fat burning. All right. And so a lot of times when you can focus on about 15 to 20% of your overall calories coming from fat is a good starting point. This is actually going to push you as well to opt for other food items that aren't as high in fats. Think about things like fruits, vegetables, more whole grain sources. And this can also, and lean proteins. This can actually help you with the fat burning process, especially when it comes time for the deficit. Remember, some type 1s will have to reverse diet out to maintenance. Then when you come time for the deficit, now you might want to start manipulating those fats and paying more attention to where these macronutrients are. This is a great way for us, again, to remember the big picture as type 1s. And if you're not someone who understands macronutrients, then you don't understand what you're leaving on the table and how these macronutrients are impacting your body. Because whether you understand them or not, they are impacting your body. So it's important to get a better idea of what they're doing in your system so that you can have a better game plan to get to your goal of burning more body fat. It's Coach Jay, just more topics for you guys to dive into so you understand. And even if you're someone who's looking to get more information, but you don't even know where to start, let these talks be a way for you to understand what you need to dive more into to help yourself move in that right direction to burn more body fat, get better control overall, and just take yourself to the next level. Another side thing that I want to make, that's important. Maybe you're someone who's on keto who says, I don't actually use a lot of insulin. Someone on keto is not going to use a lot of insulin because they're not actually eating any carbohydrates. Right? So if you're truly on a keto diet, you're not eating a lot of carbohydrates, your insulin levels are going to drop, and yes, you'll likely lose some weight. But a lot of times for type 1s, it can leave us as more susceptible to losing a little bit more muscle as a result as well, because you don't have those glycogen stores. You might find you're very low on energy, and when you do lose weight, you almost feel like you lost everything. You don't really have any muscle tone to you that you feel comfortable with. And so that's when I recommend adding those carbohydrates in. But somebody that now shifts from going keto as a type 1 to now starting to increase carbs might notice that they need more insulin requirements than they might before, because their body has to become more adaptive again to burning glucose, because now it might have become more adaptive to using fat for fuel that they're getting from the foods they're eating. This is one of the reasons why I don't suggest a ketogenic diet from a big picture perspective, but hey, do what works for you, but it's something to be mindful of. Just some key points for you guys right there. Just my take on things that I've been through, what I've seen, trying every diet and coaching type 1 diabetics. If you guys have any questions or comments, make sure you guys drop them down below. And a lot of you guys, I don't think are subscribed, so make sure you guys hit the subscribe button too. We're gonna keep throwing out these good videos for you guys to make sure you're moving yourself in the right direction, all right? It's Coach Jay. I'll see you guys in the next episode.